of the month. This is not a book that warrants more than a month because it's a very fast read and the principles are pretty simple and straightforward. I would love to know if there are any specific principles or a chapter or a section that really stuck with you.
Um, for me, it's just the small steps, right? Is how, but you got to be consistent. So it's if you continue, adding to your activities, to your bill, to your reading, to everything that we do on a daily basis, like you said, we'll reach that tipping point because it will pay out. That the compound or the interest or the result will accumulate, and once it does, it'll be natural. But then you also build those habits. I think that's the most important part. It's just like you were saying, the first 3 months can go fast and you see fast results, but is it going to be sustainable, right? He talks about the lady with the investment and also like the penny ad and to let it build, and then the other one goes and in a year from now the difference. So it's those small um, activities, you know, continuing to. Sometimes we say, like, when we say that about reprogramming and clearing out all the other stuff from before, it's like we were thought like you just have to go all the time, and if you don't, you're not good, right? If I don't have your list of names or 100 names, and we don't go through it within the first 90 days, the first 30 days, when you hit this rank, that rank, you just fall down on the wayside as a person that the leaders are looking at. But if you continue to just pour and drip on people and keep it day by day consistent, eventually once our retention is already great because of the company and the stability, but it's just us individually talking to more people,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to grow, right? So that's going to it's that persistent, and then we'll be able to see the result of it compounding over time.
Agreed. Agreed. There's something because everything weighs something. So if we do the actions, there's benefit. If we don't do it, there's benefit. There's a consequence for whatever we're doing or not doing. And over time, it becomes more dynamic because it builds, it builds, it builds, it builds, it builds. So if you do two things, one, the daily disciplines that reap multiple rewards, and then two, how dynamic am I in my daily disciplines? And then who are you getting around so that you can hold yourself to a higher standard of accountability with your daily disciplines. So I thought I was doing really good when I was making 10 calls a day, and I was having maybe one or two crucial conversations a day. I thought that was really good. And then I was introduced to someone who was doing 100 dials a day. And I was like, you do 100 dials a day? Every day? Wow. So it caused me to reframe and look at how I was moving because I thought I was doing something. You always think you're doing something until you meet somebody who's really doing something. Then I met someone who was doing 300 to 400 calls a day. And I was like, 300 to 400 calls a day? It's like, yeah, like I sat down and that's first of all, it's the expectation because that person put themselves in an environment where that was the norm. That was the expectation. So there's this thing called the Pygmalion effect. It means when you get into a group, whatever that group is, whatever that group aspires to, it rubs off on you. And it's a positive. The Pygmalion effect is a positive, meaning if I go and play for the Ohio State Buckeyes, I might have been, all that when I was in high school. I was heavily recruited, but I go to Ohio State and I take everything to a different level I didn't even know existed because of the demands and the environment. They just expect a level of excellence that I didn't even know was possible. So I raise my game beyond my own imagination. Sometimes our self-imposed limitations keep us enslaved. It keeps us in a box, and we think we're doing good because we compare ourselves to the wrong people. We compare ourselves to whoever's next to us when in fact, those people that are next to us are not really aspiring to that much. So now we're delusional because we think we're all that. Well, yeah, I'm successful compared to who? Yeah, I'm really good compared to who? Yeah, I'm really disciplined compared to who? Yeah, I'm killing it with my numbers compared to who? So this book, it just points out like, hey, take a look at your numbers. Take a look at the level that you're showing up for your business. And the reason we have our, daily accountability calls and we post our numbers every day is because it allows us to add them up at the end of each month. That way you're not deluding yourself. Like you think, right? We spend more time in our head than we do in engagement. We spend more time in our head than we do actually engaged in the activities. So we always think we're doing more than what we are because we're in our head. So obviously, if you're in your head, you're dead. And secondly, the numbers don't lie. The numbers are going to tell you the story of your level of commitment. They're going to tell you the story of your work ethic. They're going to tell you the story of how you've been tricking yourself into believing that you really are getting after it. So that's all opportunities that we have to continue to level up because there's always levels to what we do. So when you put yourself in a different environment and you're around other individuals who are playing at a high level, who are putting in work at a high level, then again, those things rub off on you as well. So let's take something very simple. And I've used this example before. I don't miss calls ever. I don't. I don't ever schedule an event and not do it. That's never going to happen. Like it would take something, like it would take an act of God for me to miss a call or to cancel an event. Like it would have to be, everything has just been wiped out and we're homeless and there's no internet and there's no way for me to do the call. Like it would take a catastrophic event. Why? Because I understand the weight and the gravity of how I show up every single day. If I make it an option to miss a call, to schedule a one-on-one or to schedule any level of event and then cancel the event or not be there, if I make that a part of my option in my brain, I'm telling my body that my success is optional. My achievement is optional. My building a sizable business is optional because of I think it's a little thing, it's not. Because everything weighs something, and it's the little things that bring us to the bigger results. It's the little things. I understand the severity of having an attitude that is where I make certain things optional, whereas the inverse is also true. So I put this in our Telegram yesterday, where Nadia and I having a conversation. Wait a minute, we didn't actually clearly define that first significant flag post. We know what the bigger goal is, but we never got on in unison and said, here's our very first significant goal. We didn't do that. Why? Because trauma is real. PTSD is real. We all of us have past hurts and letdowns and betrayals and pain. And sometimes we carry that into our present, which impacts our future. And it doesn't matter. You would think, well, wait a minute, you have experience, you've had, certain levels of success, you've seen things from a viewpoint that most people have not. Why wouldn't you have already clearly defined that first target? Because it wasn't on purpose. It was because the past was still impacting our present choices and we didn't realize it. It's easy to mask with activity and income producing activities and accountability. But ladies and gentlemen, if we don't clearly define our specific outcome, and then we plant the flag and say, there is nothing that's going to get in the way of us achieving this first significant goal, and we don't look left or right, and we don't tarry, that's how you get things done, period. There's certain things are non-negotiable. And so whenever it comes to activities for our business, showing up is not an option. Like, it's, of course, I'm going to be there, because anyone that comes into my orbit has to feel and know when they come into my orbit, this is happening. And so if I lock arms with Shauna, if I lock arms with Monica, I know I'm going to be successful. I know I'm going to win, because it's the only option.